Ken, predictions for the second half of the Padres season. One prediction for this episode of On Friar. Derek's predictions will be more interesting than my predictions. I feel like
I
that's how these usually go, Derek. You are, you're the deep thinker. You get in the weeds on stuff. I'm kind of more like your basic, this could go this way, this could go that way. I'm going to predict that your predictions are slightly, maybe not slightly, more compelling than mine.
I don't know about compelling. You do a good job with these. I think mine will probably be a little bit more off the beaten path, if you will. I like
There you
I like
go.
to go for the high risk, high reward, swing for the fences. You're probably right more often than I am, but I think I guess some of the bigger things that maybe folks it's what I'm hoping happens. Right? Maybe not an actual this is going to happen, but this is what I'm hoping is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if my predictions are right more than yours. But you're right. It's like Mike Schilt calling to lay down a bunt with 2 on and no outs. It's like, okay, that might do something, but we're kind of maybe lowering our ceiling in terms of the potential of the impact here. So we'll see how it goes. But this is always a fun thing to do at this point in the season. And maybe some thoughts on the All-Star break. You and I haven't discussed that yet. So if there's anything that you thought was interesting from the last few days, we can get into that as well. Thanks to OGs, a sponsor of the On Fire podcast. Appreciate all they do for On Fire and the NBC7 sports team. If you need a place to catch a game, get a good meal, OGs is the place. Hit up one of their many locations around San Diego County. Great menu, tons of specials, and deals and special menu items, and an awesome beer list. So shout out to OGs. Great place to go to catch a game. Maybe watch the Open Championship this weekend. We got football coming up before too long. So make sure to think of OGs when you want to get a good bite to eat, hang with some folks, catch game. OGs is the place to do it. Without further ado, the walk-up music. It is the On Fire podcast brought to you by NBC7. He is Derek Togerson. I am Darnay Tripp, joining you on the eve of the second half. All-Star break is in the books. Real baseball returns on Friday. 10-gamer beginning in the nation's capital against the Nats for the San Diego Padres. And excited to see what is ahead, Derek, and excited to hear what your predictions are. 5 from you, 5 from me. And we should really start keeping score of these things. See what our hit rate, our accuracy level is, or maybe that's a terrible idea by season's end.
I think we'd both be hitting somewhere around the Campusano line if we kept track of these things.
I don't think that's where we want to be. So maybe we'll leave that alone. We'll just throw it out into the world and then forget about it when all of them go terribly wrong within a month.
Yeah, but if just one of them is right, we're never going to shut up about it.
Darn right. That's how it goes. That's how this sort of thing works. So hopefully I'll have one that we can like print some T-shirts on, thump our chests about by year's end. And hopefully it's on the good end of things, because sometimes these predictions say, hey, this thing might not go too well. This thing will go great. Hopefully it's one of those predictions we're expecting to go great. Any thoughts on the All-Star break before we launch into those? I don't know how you felt. We haven't talked about the swing off to settle the All-Star game. I thought that was kind of fun. We got a sneak peek of the ABS challenge, which I think should already arrive, and I hope it arrives as soon as possible. Anything catch your eye or of in particular interest to you?
ABS thing I saw in spring training, loved it. Think it's good. That thing's probably not far away. I'll be honest. It was our wedding anniversary, so I was not watching any baseball. I did not see any of this. I read up a little bit because I had several people ask me like, "Hey, what did you think about the swing off?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So I had to go back and look at it. And you're right. It was really fun for an exhibition game. Now, some people start asking, "Well, is this going to be a regular season thing?" And that's where I go like, "Listen, I love the pitch clock. I love the 3-batter minimum. I love that even like the ghost runners even like grown on me. I love the expanded bases. This is a bridge too far because you're now boiling down a game that you have to do so many things well: hit, pitch, play defense, run bases, and boiling it down to batting practice. So to decide actual games, don't like it. to describe an exhibition like this, it was really, really fun to watch the highlights.
I agree. And I think of the swing off similarly to the golden bat rule that was batted about, where you could have anybody, any one player, once in a game, step up to the plate in any situation. Um, I think it would be super fun and entertaining, but probably a bridge too far in terms of like the purity of the game. So as much as I think it'd be cool, and like who wouldn't want like Machado or Otane or Pete Alonso or whoever, eighth inning, bases loaded. You're like, all right, that's our spot. We're going to throw this guy up there. It would be must see TV, but probably too far. I think ABS Challenge, they could have instituted it last month. And I'm on board. I think it's great. We've seen it basically in tennis for what, like a decade plus, and nobody thinks anything
Right.
of it at this point. It's quick, it's efficient. It it doesn't interfere too much because you have limited challenges. The other one, and I don't think this has come up between you and I am also an advocate of the expanded bases. What do they use that in softball, where they have the base essentially that floats into foul territory to limit the possibility of injury? So you're not having the
Mhm.
Luis Ariz situation where first baseman or whoever's covering the bag with whoever's sprinting down the line, possibly colliding. You can have the base runner go into foul territory, step on the bag. I think that is one that, again, wouldn't change really anything about the game, but would limit injuries and give players the freedom to maybe think a little bit less about that possibility when they're trying to bust it down the line or make the defensive play. So those are a couple that I think along the lines of the pitch clock, universal DH wouldn't, have a negative impact in the game, and wouldn't change that much of the viewing experience.
Yeah, the one going out of first base, don't mind that at all. It's fine. It's really the only one that you're not sliding into. At least you shouldn't be, unless you are trying to, as you said, avoid a tag. When you're going to throw up the line, you get down, whatever. But nobody should ever be diving into first base. It slows you down. I don't know why that ever became a thing. Fine, put that little orange base on the inside. They do it in, I think they do it in what, some minor leagues somewhere, I think. So it's a thing where it's like it's not going to put it any closer to the batter or any closer for the fielder. It's completely neutral, avoids injury. All on board with that. That's something they probably should do as well.
But as far as the swing off, I even found myself later that evening, like feeling disappointed to know that there's no guarantee that we would get a swing off at next year's All-Star game. I kind of want all the All-Star games to end in a tie, or just like a thrilling ninth inning or a tie, because I thought it was so much fun. It was quick. I don't know. I was a fan, but again, not enough of a fan to say, yes, this is how we're going to decide regular season games.
What if we started the All-Star game with a swing off, and that determines who's the home team?
Yeah, I think there's something there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's it already is going to be in the after the fifth inning, you have a swing off, and that whoever wins a swing off gets 3 runs or gets to take away a run from the other team, or so there's some sort of cost benefit analysis where you either get to do something good for you or something bad for your opponent. But make it Squid Game, basically. Do baseball Squid Game with a swing off some point during the game. I'm for that.
Nobody's losing their lives in this situation, right?
Well, you never know. It
Uh,
depends. It depends on how serious you want to get. I mean, Manfred is a labor lawyer from New York. He's a tough dude. He might be all for going to the mattresses.
as Jay Singer would say, everything's on the table. I do think the swing off maybe could inform how they approach the home run derby, because I think the way they're doing it isn't working. And I think maybe limiting the swings, giving us a chance to really enjoy what happens with each swing, cutting down the time, cutting down the number of rounds, getting rid of the timed element. I think they might be onto something there, but we'll see.
It doesn't the derby last longer in the game now?
It feels that way. And now that it's timed, they're doing the split screen thing where like O'Neill Cruz hit a 513-foot homer, but you couldn't really enjoy it because it's in the split screen. Before it drops, he's swinging again. And so, they changed it from how it was back in the day. And I think they need to kind of revert a little bit where maybe it doesn't drag on so long. Instead of like 10 outs, maybe just give them 10 full swings. Um, is there a bonus competition for longest home run? I don't know, but
They used to do something like that, where it was like you got 10 outs. Any
yeah, yeah.
swing that wasn't a home run was an out.
Yeah.
But then guys were taking a long time in between swing, taking a bunt, take a pitch, step out, wipe yourself down. So like you get, let's say you hit 6 homers and 10 outs. So, but those 16 swings would take 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's, it's they like, okay, we'll put a clock on them, and they have timeouts and this, that, and whatnot, and extra time, bonus time, and golden balls. They've done this in so many different iterations. You ever watch the old black and white ones where it was like Willie Mays versus Hank Aaron? Where
they used to have those on ESPN Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I used to watch those quite a bit when I was growing up. And their one was basically like you did innings.
Yeah.
You get, anytime you hit a home run, it was great. You had to keep going. Anytime there wasn't a home run, wasn't out, you got 3 outs. So you do 3 outs, next guy comes up, do the same thing. What if you each round was like 2 innings? So you had 2 rounds, you get 3 outs each one, and then boom, you're off and running. That would shorten things up. I'm all for something like that.
I also don't think people care how many home runs somebody hits in a round anymore. Like, what's the difference between 20 and 28? Like, I don't think that's the exciting part. I think it's the impressiveness of the home run. Like when somebody hits, again, 513 feet, that's incredible. And I think almost like, a penalty shootout with the NHL or, penalty kicks with soccer. It's like you have this finite, say if it's 10 swings and you got to maximize those 10 swings, it limits it. There's then pressure on the 8th swing if you need 2 more homers rather than like the whole out system or the time system. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
10 swings total. It doesn't matter what you do with them. If you hit 8 home runs, great. If you get 2 home runs, great. You're done. 10 swings.
Give us one that's 530 feet.
Yeah, and you're right. That would make, although now we're getting into I saw Kyle Schwarber take he took like 17 pitches to get 3 swings, something like that. It's like, guys, come on now. Just put the ball on a tee at that point.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the predictions. Do you want to lead things off or should I?
Sure. I'll give you a quick and easy one. Manny Machado is going to finish with a 300 average for the first time in his career for a full season. He had 304 in 2020, but 294 in 2016, 297 in 2018, 298 in 2022. He's never finished a full season with a 300 average. This is the year Manny's a 300 hitter.
It's a great one. And I would love to know what's going through Manny's head and how little he would want to talk about it if he entered September with like a 299 or 301 average. Because as smart and as tuned in and competitive as Manny is, he would be aiming for that.
He's at 292 right now, by the way.
Yeah. That's a very good one. We're off to a great start. I would love to see it, and I would love to follow it as well, to have that be kind of like a sidebar or a footnote in the month of September when he has an 0 for 4 night and it drops to like 298, or he goes 5 for 5 and he's at like 304. You're like, oh my gosh, he's actually going to do it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Let's stay on the offensive side of things. Xander Bogaerts will have the second highest OPS on the team in the second half. And the reason he's second is something we'll get to a little bit later. But I'm going to buy this hot stretch that Xander Bogaerts has had the last month or so. I want to believe that, he's starting to turn a corner, find his rhythm a little bit, something that we've been waiting for a long time. It's important to him if you're watching him, because it has been a struggle, and he knows it's been a struggle, and it's nice to see him kind of come to life a little bit. And I'm going to say that it's real. It's not because he's going to hit 20 homers in the second half. He's, been able to limit his strikeouts. So on base has been very, very good. Even if he's just singling them and doubling them to death with maybe 6 homers through the course of the second half, I'm going to say it's enough that he is, big picture speaking, the Padres' second most effective offensive player in the second half of the season.
Interesting you should say that, because I think the Padres right now have Manny Machado with 17 home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr. is 16 home runs. Gavin Sheets at 14 home runs. Everyone else is in single digits. So I'm saying the Padres are going to have 5 players by the end of the season with at least 20 home runs. Those 3 guys I just mentioned. Jackson Merrill, who has 7 right now, but he's missed a boatload of time. 13 in 66 games. I think what we saw over the weekend leading into the break with his resurrection against the Phillies, I think he is going to go on a bender. I think Jackson's going to be fantastic. And then Xander Bogaerts will be the 5th guy, because he is at 5 right now. Again, 66 games left. It's basically one every 4 games. I think that good luck is going to turn completely into his favor because it's been completely against him this entire season, better part of a couple of seasons now. I think he will hit 15 home runs in the second half of the season, one every 4 games. He he's got it in him. He's done it before for stretches in Boston. This is where Xander Bogaerts finally shows up and becomes a guy that got the $280 million contract. He's going to be on fire the rest of the season.
And, his last 23 games, hitting 388 with a 1,017 OPS, 467 on base, just 2 homers, 7 doubles, no triples during that stretch. Only 12 strikeouts in 80 at bats. So he's just been really, really consistent, limiting his strikeouts. And it's awesome. It's, I think even in acknowledging his struggles and bemoaning his struggles, we've all kind of been rooting for Xander Bogaerts just because he's a likable dude. He takes ownership and accountability when things are down. He's working behind the scenes. And the other thing too, this doesn't impact his OPS, but he's got like the 5th or 6th highest, I don't know if it's DRS or outs above average, among shortstops in Major League Baseball. And so that being one of the criticisms of him, his first couple seasons, what he does or doesn't do defensively, he's been really, really solid for them. So just like a good all around Xander Bogaerts year, which I think a lot of people are pleased with, are happy to see.
Yep. I like it. What's your second one?
My second one, since we're talking offense, and I sort of hinted at it, Fernando Tatis Jr. will finish top 3, or I guess you would say he'll be a finalist for National League MVP. And it's for a couple reasons. This obviously, first month of the season, we'd say, obviously, of course, look what he's done so far. At the end of May, it'd say, probably no chance he won't even be an all-star. He was an all-star, and he sort of rewarded that designation by what he did in the weeks that followed him being named an all-star, by starting to pick it up again. And he's off to a very good start to the month of July, despite not hitting a ton of home runs. And you look at FanGraphs WAR, he's like 3rd in the National League behind Pete Crow Armstrong and Shohei Ohtani. Now, especially with Shohei Ohtani, it's going to be really hard to win National League MVP, especially when you have a month plus of the worst baseball of your career. So I think that's going to be a decent amount for him to kind of bounce back from. But similar to PCA, what Fernando does defensively, I think is going to buoy his chances, just like it's made him one of the most valuable players in the National League, despite fairly modest offensive numbers. So I think all of that, and going along with what you are saying, just in terms of the power and his capabilities and potential in the second half, all that to say, I think he is going to be the Padres' best offensive player in the second half. I'm going to say his struggles are behind him. You're going to see him hit homers more consistently and be the Fernando Tatis Jr. that we're accustomed to seeing on top of platinum glove level defense. Not saying he's going to win it this year, but I think all that's going to make him one of the finalists there for National League MVP. And, in 2021, when he was a finalist, I remember talking to some folks that know about these things a whole lot more than me, the Sarah Langs, Sarases of the world, like asking them to kind of handicap the race, because it was him, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper. I believe it was Bryce Harper that ended up winning in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And saying, okay, how do you factor all this in? At that point, Fernando was playing primarily shortstop. And one of the things they said was his defense isn't quite good enough for it to be a benefit to him, because, Bryce Harper's not doing much for you there. Juan Soto's not doing much for you there. Their outlook was offensively, those guys have been better this year, despite all Tatis's homers. And Tatis's homer defense isn't quite good enough to be a feather in his cap. That's no longer the case. His defense is good enough to be a feather in his cap. You're seeing it with his WAR in a season where offensively he hasn't been at his peak, and I think it's only going to help him going forward.
Dare I say, and this is not a prediction, I'm playing off of what you're saying, is he going to be the Padres' first 30-30 player?
I mean, at some point, probably. I know he's
17 homers, 21 stolen bases. Sorry, 16 homers, 21 stolen bases. Like, it's almost the steals you got to figure is going to get there, right? 30, his first 30 home runs, 30 steal season, but 14 home runs in the last
2.5 months.
66 games. I mean, we know he's got it in him. What do you say?
Yeah, because I mean, you're looking at like 2 the rest of this month, 6 in August, 6 in September. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's. I like it, Derek. That wasn't a prediction.
No, I'm just playing off of what you're saying.
11 predictions for the Padres second half.
There's your bonus prediction. There you go.
Bonus prediction: 30-30 season for Fernando Tatis Jr. Book it. Well done.
All right, let's go to kind of an overall general Padres prediction. The Padres will go 42-24 down the stretch to finish with 94 wins and a home wild card number 4 seed playoff situation. We saw what they did last year. They went 43-19. This is not even as good as that, 42-24. But it is exactly what they need to do. It is what they are going to do. Because remember, they also play, I think it's the second or third easiest schedule in the second half in all of Major League Baseball. They come right out and they have 6 against the Nationals and the Marlins. And then they get to go to 4 and say, by the way, why is it always 4 in St. Louis? Every single year now, you get the 4-game trip. It used to be Milwaukee. Now it's every single year. It's 4 games in St. Louis in the middle of the summer in July or August. It's every single time where they can go out there and just melt in the Midwest heat. But they've got another 4-game series there to keep them out of town long enough for Comic-Con to get done. So I think they will certainly run to at least a 94-win season, and that'll put them in the playoffs, and we're off and running in the postseason again.
I love it. I love it. I have one along those lines. I think there's a bit of the feeling like, okay, it's going to be more like 23 or 2024. And I was looking at where they are in the wild card standings. Like, currently they are in possession of the last National League wild card spot. Last year, I think they were a game and a half out of the wild card. 2023, they were 6 games out. So they had a lot of work to do. They ended up, I think, 6 games above 500 for the second half, finished a couple games behind the Diamondbacks. And all the while, until like they went nuts the last couple weeks of September, you didn't really feel like they had a chance. They never gave you a reason to believe. And it was a shame now if a couple of those extra inning 1-run games flipped and you're looking at a playoff team if they're able to kind of do what they did in September. Last year, they do what you just laid out. They were the best team in baseball in the second half. I'm going to say this year is more like 2024 than 2023. I agree with you. They get into the playoffs, but where I disagree is it's going to be a little bit more tense. We're going to be on the edge of our seats, a little bit more of a nail biter than we saw a year ago, where, was it a week and a half out that or was it oh no, because it was Dodgers and D-backs. What was it, like that Monday or Tuesday that they had the triple play to clinch their spot?
Yeah, it was Tuesday. I was up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say that they're going to sweat it out a little bit more this year. I think they're going to get in. It's a crowded race, at least at the moment. We'll see how the deadline impacts that. I don't think they're going to be 43-19 level. I think they're going to play well. They're going to win games consistently. But I'm going to say whether it's the competition around the wild card, maybe fighting through some struggles here or there, having to grind it out as they have so far this season. I think they'll get there. I think they'll get it done. I think they'll be a playoff team. But I don't think we'll be able to sit and relax and enjoy the ride the last 5 games of the season like we did last year.
I could see it. Yeah. If they had a tougher schedule, I would say lean more towards that direction. But the fact that they do have they got so many of their tough games out of the way early. I just figure they're going to, plus Michael King is going to come back. Like they're going to make some dead. I don't even have a prediction about the trade deadline, by the way. Actually, I do have one. I'll give it to you, that one in a second. But yeah, I think this team is primed and ready to go for a second half run.
And you make a great point there in terms of strength of schedule, because that's kind of been the story. They've played well against teams they should play well against. They've struggled, been kind of a 500 ball club against kind of your upper echelon. Lauren, our buddy, chiming in. Here's hoping the Padres will repeat something like last year's success post All-Star game. Feel like the Pods should both sell their potential free agents or eventual free agents, and buy whatever they can with limited resources. Lauren, clearly influenced by our trade deadline pod from a couple weeks ago, where we said they should be both buyers and sellers. I can tee you up there, Derek. What's your and I have one as well. What's your trade deadline prediction?
The catcher who will lead the Padres and runs batted in is not on the roster right now. Elias Diaz has 12 RBI. Martin Maldonado has 10. So the catcher who was going to be their best offensive threat and the guy they rely on down the stretch is going to be acquired sometime between now and the trade deadline. We hear the Sean Murphy rumors. There's somebody out there is going to be acquired by AJ Preller to strengthen him behind the plate. Along, by the way, I'm just assuming a left fielder is coming in. A left fielder is coming. That's foregone conclusion. Everyone knows it. We don't have to make that prediction. It's going to happen. So I'm saying they're also going to add behind the plate. They're going to find somebody who can give them a better, more consistent offensive threat. That guy is coming, and he will finish the year in a San Diego uniform with probably more than 12 runs batted in.
It's quite a high bar for them to clear. Derek, do you think it's possible 10 or 12 RBIs? Might be asking a lot.
He can get that in 2 weeks. All right, they're going to have a lot of guys on base in front of him.
Yeah, let's hope so. Gosh, I mean, if that's not the case, I'm a little bit concerned. I just hope, like, I would love to see them. And again, this is knowing that hopefully Ethan Salas is arriving at some point in the next couple years or so, and maybe he can be kind of that long-term guy whenever that day comes. But I was thinking about it the other day, like, what has the average age of Padres catchers been since like 2020? I mean, Austin Nola is like on the young end, and he was like, what, 29, 30 when he arrived here. You've got Diaz and Maldonado now, Victor Caratini. Higgy was what, like 34 last year. I would love to have just like a 28, 29-year-old. Sean Murphy's what, 30? Somewhere in that range catcher that you're like, next 3 or 4 years, he's going to be in spring training every year. You know he's around. You're going to be able to rely on him. And you don't have this revolving door of aging, end of their prime or past their prime type catchers that you're just crossing your fingers can be that guy and hold up through the course of the year.
Yeah, Sean Murphy turned 30 in May. And I know he doesn't have great overall offensive numbers, but if you look at what he's done of late, it's been good. He's got 5 home runs in July. He's slugging 743 in July. So the last 2 weeks, he might have been the guy who's figured out what he usually is and very often has been. So I like the idea of getting a guy when he's on the upswing.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Chris chiming in on the deadline. Hot take. Padres keep Suarez, but end up trading either Adam or Morejon in a package for bats, in parentheses, not my favorite scenario.
I could see it. Adam, I believe, has 1 more year of arbitration. I'm not sure about Morejon. Let me check on him.
I can look it up.
Because, again, this is where the Padres actually, I like that idea, the kind of the concept, because the Padres definitely can deal from a position of strength, which is the bullpen. And everybody at the trade deadline, what are they most looking for? Bullpen help. That is the one thing that every single year somebody's looking for. A contender needs a little bit more on the back end. And the Padres have a lot of that. So if you're talking about, he's got 1 more year of arbitration next year, then he's unrestricted.
Yeah, same story for Adam and Morejon.
So I can totally, I like the concept a lot. Deal from a position of strength. You got Sean Reynolds. You got also has proven who can be a solid bullpen arm. You got Nunez. You got Ortiz. You got these guys who have come up in spots. Shoot, David
Wandy Peralta.
Yeah, no, never mind. So you can David Morgan's showing that he can be a reliable reliever at the big league level. So I like the idea of trading from your crop of really good relievers to go out if you have to maybe add something a little bit more to bring a bat back in return. The problem is most of the teams who are looking to trade a bats probably aren't terribly concerned about their bullpen situation because they're not in contention.
Jeremiah Estrada has 2 years. Just thought I'd throw that in there as well as a
2 years
possible option
before it hits arbitration.
No, he's got his pre-arb and wait a second. This doesn't make sense, does it? Pre-arb and then arbitration 1, 2027. But then it doesn't list anything after that. So usually it has the 1, 2, 3. Maybe I'm just stupid.
Yeah, no, that's what it really usually does.
I don't know if that's like some strange contract quirk. Anyways.
No, they got it for 2 more years regardless.
Yeah. And, I wonder, Robert Suarez, he's also off to a nice start in July. There's chatter, speculation about him. does he factor in? Do they like what he's done the last few weeks or so, other than the All-Star game? But yeah, there's some guys there, and we've obviously seen AJ make additions to the bullpen, and so that's a possibility as well. Like relievers, starters, might you see some just kind of turnover there. Like some guys leave, other guys come in to replace them, maybe at a cheaper number, but in a manner that allows them to kind of fill out their lineup a little bit. Along those lines, another buddy of ours, 619 Cam, do you think Cease could get traded for a bat since we need multiple? Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, I said that in our trade deadline conversation recently. Trade him to Chicago, the Cubs, who need starting pitching for this Owen Casey kid. Bring him back home to the organization that drafted him. By the way, Owen Casey is the highest drafted Canadian player ever. Higher than Joey Votto, higher than Justin Morneau, a couple of MVPs. He's Moreau, I should say. He's the highest drafted Canadian player ever. I was surprised to read that as well.
Where was he drafted?
It's like 42 or something like that.
Wait a second.
Supplemental first-round pick.
Oh yeah, how about that? No, you might be forgetting an old friend of ours. Now, he was drafted out of college.
Who's that?
Cal Quantrill.
Oh yeah, from a Canadian high school. You're right. Yes, because Cal Quantrill who didn't go to college and in the States. Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Good for Owen. Nice. It'd be good to see him back. I mean, it's not like I've been following him closely, but you see his name pop up here and there. And it's like, well, Owen seems to be doing well for himself. So
yeah,
might as well do it back home with the Padres. While we're talking pitching, actually, no, we'll go with the deadline. Luis Robert will be the flashiest name that the Padres acquire at the trade deadline. I
like that.
There's been so much talk about Jarren Duran that it makes me think it's not going to happen.
I'm scared of left-handed hitters coming here from Petco Park from Fenway Park. Maybe Mitch Moreland is playing too much on my mind, but I don't know. That one's a little dicey for me.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the players that there was so much talk about, how many of them actually ended up Padres? Like Juan Soto's the one I can think of. There's so much talk about the possibility of Juan Soto. That one actually came to fruition. I don't know if too many others, there wasn't a ton of Dylan Cease or Luis Arraez chatter or Adam Frazier chatter or, Josh Hader even. Josh Hader seemed to kind of come out of nowhere a little bit, maybe because there's so much focus on Juan Soto. I feel like the obvious, not to say Luis Robert is a deep cut. Luis Robert we've all talked about him. But there's been so much talk externally, so much reporting about Jarren Duran as recently as this week with Dennis Lin and I believe Ken Rosenthal as well, that, and is there any guarantee that Boston, who's picked things up, is going to want to move on from him as well? So for a variety of reasons, I'm just not certain that's going to play out. I have nothing against the possibility, but I do think, speaking of Rosenthal, in his notes today, mentioned Luis Robert and the Padres, and the price tag maybe not being that high for Luis Robert at the moment, and Chicago apparently being willing to take on some of the cash. So all those things would, lead up to a pretty good possibility or add up to a pretty good possibility for the Padres. So I could see that happening. Not saying he'll be their most impactful addition. I just think that name is one that's going to be, a little bit more interesting than if they get. Sean Murphy would be right up there as well. So if that happens, you're kind of talking like 1A and 1B. I think Sean Murphy, maybe there's a little bit more promise in the bat just in terms of what we've seen recently. But bringing a reliever, bringing in a catcher, even if it was someone like Kyle Higashioka, it's exciting because we know him. But I think Robert would be the bigger name. And I think Robert will end up being the kind of, most interesting, most compelling, sexiest pickup at the deadline.
Well, Higgy, when the Rangers were here, Higgy had 16 runs batted in the entire year. He drove in 7 during the 3-game series against the Padres. Would something happen to that dude when he steps into pickup, or he had 5 in one game? What is going on with that guy when he gets into the the cool, wonderful air of San Diego. It's like, it's weird.
It is. It is strange. JDS third. Will this be another? Gosh, I hope not. 2023 type trade deadline with their offense in the bottom third of the league. Is it worth going all in? Rich Hill and G-Man Choi type deadline. I sure hope not. JDS third.
Yeah, it's God. If it is, and we need to have a serious conversation about the GM. I'll say this to answer your other question: is it worth going all in? Yes, absolutely, it's worth going all in because this team has a lot of weapons. This team can be very dangerous in the postseason, especially given the pitching situations of the other major National League contenders. The Dodgers have 14 pitchers on the injured list. A lot of them might not make it back. The Mets pitching staff is in an absolute shambles. You just took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, so you know you can deal with them, even though their pitching staff is far and away the best in the National League and maybe all of Major League Baseball. You've shown that you can beat good teams, so yeah, it's absolutely worth going all in. Now, whether they do that or not, I don't know. I'm hoping it's a lot better than Rich Hill and G-Man Choi. That'd be physically painful. That would make a lot more of my gray come out.
It'd be hard. More from 619 Cam. Any chance O'Neal Cruz can get traded? I would love Buxton, but he has that no trade clause. And I guess Buxton was asked during All-Star media availability about the potential of a trade. He's like, no, I got a trade clause. I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm finishing my career with the Twins. So Byron seems like he axed that whole possibility. And yeah, O'Neal Cruz, guys from the Pirates have started to kind of pop up with them being potential sellers. I don't know what the price would look like for O'Neal Cruz, but that could be interesting.
Anybody, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pirates traded Paul Skeens. Like they don't know what they're doing. Let's just call it as it is. The Pirates organization has absolutely no clue what it is doing. O'Neal Cruz would be exciting as hell. Here's the thing: he's not great defensively. He is kind of an all or nothing massive bat. Now, is he exciting to watch? Yes, he is. I think you need a little more offensive stability than the boomer bust that he brings. I would I complain if they grabbed him? Absolutely not. I'd be fine with that. But I'm not sure that's the guy you need to target right now at this juncture of the season or of his career.
I'm having a down year, 212 with a 733 OPS, 103 OPS plus. His career average is 109, so he's really not that far down from where he's usually at. Most homers in the season, 21 last year. He also had 181 strikeouts last year.
There's a strikeout in there.
Something to work with, but from an excitement factor, 26 years old, pre-arbitration, free agent in 2029. That'd be fun.
That'd be very fun. That would be very fun.
Chris, I'm just glad we didn't grab Adam Frazier again. Dude must hate the trade deadline.
How many? He's back to Kansas City now, right?
Is he? I don't know. I've lost track of Adam Frazier.
Yeah, I think he went. I think he just got sent back to Kansas City. I don't know why everyone keeps on trading for this guy. He's a nice dude, you know. He thinks Tony Gwynn's awesome, so I respect him for that. But it's other than that, I don't get. He had that one good year in Pittsburgh, and then kind of ever since he got traded to the Padres, it's been downhill ever since. I don't fully understand.
Adam Frazier, Daniel Hudson deadline. That was.
Oh God. Yeah, because it was the not Max Scherzer deadline.
It was the not Matt. Yeah, that's right. All right, my last one, and I'll let you go out with a bang. Only half of the top 4 starters will be there at season's end. So you're looking at Pivetta, Darvish, Cease, and King. I am thinking trade, potential Dylan Cease, and between King and Darvish, something's gonna come up.
Well, then let's go in on this together, right? We'll do a co-final prediction. Let's go back to what Cam said. Do you think Cease could get traded for a bat since we need multiple? Yes, I do. 619 Cam, because Dylan Cease will not start a playoff game for the Padres, but Mackenzie Gore will. We're bringing Mac back. Yes, that's right. All of a sudden, the Nationals have started saying we're going to start popping, maybe floating his name as a trade candidate. Listen, their new interim GM, Mike DiBartolo, that guy wants to not be the interim GM. He wants to be the GM. So he's going to want to make a splash. And they know they're still in full-blown rebuild mode. They can get a lot for a guy like Mackenzie Gore right now, who's not a free agent until after the 2027 season. Send him back to San Diego. Get a couple of decent prospects for him. Mackenzie Gore has arrived. He's an all-star. He's going to be in the top 5 in strikeouts in the National League. Bring the lefty back home. And remember what AJ told Todd Strain at the deadline in 2022. He said, this is the hard part of the business, is parting with guys like that, especially that kid. And he was pointing to Mackenzie Gore. So I think AJ would love to bring back the guy who he drafted, they developed, gave a big birth to, gave all the room in the world when he was going through whatever issues and struggles he was going through.
2020.
Bring him back home. I think that's going to happen.
What a story. What a story. I love it. And my favorite part of this is the whole Juan Soto trade continuum. It would break my brain now trying to figure that out, because you trade Juan Soto, you get for Mackenzie Gore, etc. Then you trade Juan Soto for Michael King, Drew Thorpe, etc. You trade Drew Thorpe to get Dylan Cease, etc. And then you trade Dylan Cease to get Mackenzie Gore back. I don't think we could do the math on it anymore. We would just have to shelf the Juan Soto trade discourse for the rest of all time, because it's gone full circle, and there's really no way to try and articulate it.
Yeah, the transitive property of trades, I think, would be the only way we could possibly follow it through.
They throw CJ Abrams in as well. Sweeten the deal. We'll see. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, I think a Dylan Cease trade makes a lot of sense. And I am concerned just from a health standpoint between Darvish and King. But if you can get, say, Michael King healthy back, or you Darvish healthy back, Nick Pivetta, you're going to pick up some arm at the deadline, Randy, and then some combination of Vasquez, Bergert, Kolek, Kyle Hart, etc. to eat those innings.
Those 4 guys together have proven they can be 2 really capable starting pitchers at the major league level. They can get you to the postseason.
Maybe
and then you're in the postseason. You don't need them.
Maybe like 3 weeks of solid Matt Waldron, and then you have your top 3, which is led by, say, Pivetta and King, or Pivetta and Darvish, whoever they pick up at the deadline. And then those guys, 1 or 2 starts, maybe 3 during the postseason. Then it doesn't matter, because offense, they now have O'Neal Cruz and Luis Robert and a catcher who has more than 12 RBIs. And the Padres are scoring 6 runs a game. And so pitching is what it is.
It's
and a lights out bullpen.
We just fixed everything. And by the way, I was not saying that they were trade Dylan Cease for Mackenzie Gore, because that would make no sense for the Nationals whatsoever. They're going to deal Dylan Cease to a contender.
I was wondering about
going
that.
To give some prospects back, and part of those prospects will be used to go out and get Mackenzie Gore. So yeah, it'll be there's multiple things that will be going on in the works.
I was thinking in the back of my head, I don't know if the math is mathing here, but I'm just going to let Derek cook with this idea.
Yeah, no, that's not the trade. It is like, I think I'll go back to the one that I proposed a couple of weeks ago, with a Padres sent Dylan Cease to the Cubs for Owen Casey, reliever, and a couple of other prospects. Package a couple of those prospects with one of our guys, send them off to Washington to go out and get Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, and
I was all in on the Sandy Alcantara thing, but I think Mackenzie Gore, if he's available, might be a better bet.
Yeah, I could see that. And cheaper for a little while.
Much, at least for 2 years. Yeah.
And, I feel like you've heard a lot about the potential of 3-team deals, and given where the Padres are, it might be tough to have just kind of that nice, tidy 1-for-1, 2-for-2 with a team type situation where, you lump this team in to get this sort of piece that might be attractive to this other team. That's something that we could see a lot of. And, who better to mastermind something like that than a guy like AJ Preller, who sleeps for 10 minutes a night and spends the rest of his time perseverating about these types of ideas. And so, again, another reason when we had that trade deadline chat, and I think pretty much everything we discussed from that one still holds up today. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and check it out. But my takeaway from having that conversation, doing that exercise, was this could be really, really interesting. And I feel that way. Maybe fewer like obvious prospect types, but when you consider some of the names on the big league roster that they might be able to part with, that might, get them some sort of return, I think it could be a really, really interesting deadline. Even not like Juan Soto, Josh Hader, holy crap, did they just do that level? Certainly, but just kind of a compelling curious, interesting deadline, and hopefully one that does not end up looking anything like 2021 or 2023.
It'll be somewhere between Soto and Hader and Hill and Choi. Somewhere like George Carlin, arguably the greatest stand-up comic of all time. Did a thing about license plates and what the sayings are on them. And he said, somewhere between famous potatoes and live free or die, the truth lies.
Right.
Idaho and New Hampshire. So I think that's kind of the birth there. Somewhere between 2022 with Soto and Hader and 2023 with Hill and Choi, the Padres' truth lies. Yeah. And I think it's probably closer to 2022 than the alternative.
Well, and not just the Padres' truth lies, AJ Preller's truth lies. Because as you kind of hinted at, like, this is all going to be an indictment or a feather in his cap. And, another can of worms will be if this team struggles and they miss the playoffs. What does that mean for him? His legacy could go just like this Padres season could go anyway. And whatever strings he pulls at the deadline is going to, go a long way in determining that.
Yeah, quick question from 619 Cam. Does Maldonado or Diaz get DFA'd right away when we find a catcher? My guess is one of those guys would be in part of the package going back to whoever you make the trade for the catcher, because catchers are not they're in short supply around Major League Baseball. So unless a team is trying to unload somebody because they want to bring up their hot prospect, then probably you're sending back one of those guys just as a body to be behind the plate for that other team.
Yeah, and then do they get DFA'd within a week of joining their other team?
Yeah, that's a question for the other team that acquires them. That I don't know.
That's their podcast.
Yes,
we'll let them handle that.
That is the Natitude podcast. Correct.
This was fun. 11 predictions for the Padres in the second half.
And look at that. We're all being positive about it too. How crazy is that?
Is that a bad thing? Should I be worried?
I think maybe a little. Yeah, we might have been a little bit too overzealous here.
Does losing Maldi or Diaz midseason negatively affect our pitchers? Not so much that the overall outcome is negative, because I think offensive ceiling, maybe take a dip defensively and handling the staff, but that's a sacrifice I think I'm willing to make.
Yeah, again, it depends on who they bring in, but even if they are a tick below that guy defensively, I think pitchers do like pitching with 3-run cushions. So that would probably, again, the offensive upside, as you said, Darnay, probably negates that. Hopefully it's a net zero if it doesn't, tick up just a little bit.
Yeah. All righty. Second half begins tomorrow. We'll see how we're doing with our predictions a week from today, once the games have returned.
With Dylan Cease on the mound. By the way, Dylan Cease on the mound back in Washington, where he threw his no-hitter last year. What if he goes out and throws a no-hitter again against the Nats in Washington?
Price is going up.
You can't trade. That, or you strike while the iron's hot. You trade him immediately.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. Price of the brick is going up, so to speak. And so I would 100% be compelled to make that move and ask for that one extra prospect or what have you.
Now the Nationals have not. I'm looking at it right now. They have not listed their starting pitchers even for Friday. What if it's Cease versus Gore? That'd be fun, right?
Is Cease lined up for Friday?
Yeah, Cease is picking his pitcher Friday.
Nice. That'd be awesome. Did Gore do much on Tuesday? Did he do anything on Tuesday?
It'd probably be the equivalent of like a bullpen day.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, it would be the equivalent of a bullpen day. That'd be fun. I'd love to see it. Quiet All-Star week for James Wood. Hopefully it remains quiet this weekend.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, good one, Derek. I enjoy this. Fun as always, and excited to talk some real baseball here in a week. We will be with you guys then. Thanks, everybody.